You may know 50 Cent as the rapper, but did you know he starred in his own video game? To people hearing about this for the first time, their mind is blown. This kind of thing just doesn't happen nowadays. It's common for celebrities to make appearances in games like Keanu Reeves being a character in Cyberpunk, but never really a full game where you play as a celebrity. That's why this game has a cult following. It's a product of its time, releasing in 2005, and there's nothing else like it. 50 Cent Bulletproof sounds like it should be in the cheapest of bargain bins, but apparently it did good enough to get a sequel. Okay. So let's see if it's worth playing.
You come with me, okay?
The game opens up with 50 Cent gathering all the homies to save his other homie, K-Dog. We got Lloyd Banks, Young Buck, and Tony Yayo. These are all the people that are in your gang known as G-Unit, and they are
full of the exaggerated swagger of a black teen.
Once I started playing the game, it was immediately apparent that something was very off here. Get ready to strap in for the rest of the video because I have some complaining to do.
Oh shit, here we go again.
The aiming is very stiff and clunky, making it hard to hit people. The camera accelerates so fast, which makes tiny adjustments nearly impossible. The camera also likes to get stuck on walls and is a pain to wrestle with while aiming. It positions itself weirdly when doing certain things like climbing upstairs or going into small rooms. 50 Cent moves too slow and feels horrible to control. Let's be honest, when the jump animation looks like this, you know the game needs work. Running and gunning isn't really an option because the aiming is so hard as it is, so adding movement to that makes it nearly impossible to hit anyone.
I need some cover, yeah, yo, spray him.
This guy calls you every other minute on this menu-heavy phone during a level to tell you the controls. Either have a tutorial where you tell me all the controls, or just let me figure them out on my own, but don't keep interrupting the gameplay to tell me.
Hey 50, maintain your aim to increase targeting accuracy.
Boy, if you don't get—
Almost every time I was being shot at, I didn't know where it was coming from because there's no directional damage indicator.
And they don't stop coming, 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 and they don't stop.
This might work in a more open game, but for a close quarters action game where you're constantly getting hit and are surrounded by enemies, it just feels confusing. Also, falling from a 10-foot drop with full health kills you, apparently.
Come on, man.
The cover mechanic feels equally as clunky as the movement. You have to be lined up facing the cover and there's not a lot of leniency in the positioning. Then once you're in cover and shoot at someone, he pops all the way out of cover, so what's the point of the cover if he leaves it entirely when he's shooting at someone? There is movable cover that you can wheel around, which helps a little when defending yourself, but because enemies are always respawning, you end up getting flanked from behind anyway. Everything about this game control-wise feels like a tank control PS1 game they just added analog sticks to.
What the fuck?
Nothing feels satisfying. Even when I would hit an enemy, it felt like luck in that I just happened to land my crosshair on them. There's a few different weapon types in the game, but every single one feels the same. None of them have recoil, probably because the aiming is hard enough as it is, and you can dual wield the smaller weapons, but no matter which weapon loadout you choose, they all play the same. Even if there was just one weapon in the game, it would have felt exactly the same gameplay-wise. Most levels have you run around to one place, and then when you're done with that, you just go to a different place in the level. You might have to protect someone or clear the path of enemies along the way, but all of the levels are pretty much the same. There's no real point to the enemies, since most levels boil down to something like go to place A, then B, then C. Yeah, there's enemies, but they're just there to slow your progress. I tried to run past the enemies whenever I could so I could look for the next unmarked area I was supposed to go to. There are multiple enemy types, but they don't change up the game in any way. Like, yeah, there's this regular enemy that I shoot, and then there's this supposedly stronger enemy that I also just shoot. What's the point of having multiple enemies if they attack in the exact same way? Even though the level design is super simplistic and basic, a lot of times I wasn't sure where to go next because the tasks just give you vague descriptions of what you're supposed to do, then it's up to you to wander around the level trying not to die in order to figure out where your next objective is. Because the enemies respawn endlessly, there's no real point to the cover system, since killing enemies will only spawn in more. It's best to just run around killing people along the way, trying to get to wherever you need to go. Your G-Unit soldiers don't really do anything besides shout out some voice lines and get in your way.
I need some cover, yeah, yo, sprayer. I need some cover, yeah, yo, sprayer.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
I'm curious if this game boosted their sales records because they certainly left a bad impression on me. I played this game on normal difficulty, but I can't imagine how frustrating it would be on the hardest of the 5 difficulties. When you're not in a level, you go to this city that acts as your hub area where you can buy stuff.
Oh, you alive!
This area is equally as bad because this is where the game shoves the story at you by having you walk to different parts of the tiny city just to watch a cutscene. This game does have a few redeeming qualities. I like the cinematic moments of the cutscenes as well as the killing animations. The soundtrack was also fitting, considering some of 50 Cent's songs are in the game, as well as other similar rappers like all the members of G-Unit. The graphics are pretty good as well for a PS2 game, even if it was following the muddy brown and gray trend at the time. It's a game that looks like it has a decent budget, but plays like it has none. Damn! I finally called it quits when my mission was to find 4 safes around this mansion. I was done with the horrible controls and missions where you just wander around until you find something. Not gonna lie, I only played this game for a few hours because I got sick of how horrible everything felt to control. It's just an unfair game where everything you do feels uncomfortable. The level design is boring, the guns all feel the same, and the controls are horrible. If they fixed the controls, this game would be a decent experience just to see the outlandish story and the absurdity of playing a 50 Cent game, but the controls stop it from getting there. I even looked up a playthrough to see if the gameplay changed or if it added anything new, but it was the exact same as the beginning levels. I played some bad games in my time like Shark Tale and the History Channel games I also have videos on, but this one is definitely the worst. The other games I could at least get a laugh out of, but I don't even recommend playing this as a joke. I thought this video would be funny to show how weird it is that 50 Cent has his own game, but I was left feeling frustrated and drained at how bad it all is. Thanks for watching the most negative video on my channel, and if you liked hearing me suffer, be sure to like and subscribe, and let me know the worst game you've ever played down in the comments.